All right, so I've given it a share in a few places, and it looks like we've got a few watchers with us. So if you are watching, I'd invite you to say hello in the comments. That's the only way we know you're here with us. And we'd certainly ask that if you would like to give this a share as well, we'd greatly appreciate that. We'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, Kelly. And Jeff, I think I might have mentioned this, but you'll be able to see the comments come in on the screen too. And so if you have any questions as we go along, you can certainly drop those in the comments and we will do our best to answer those. We might not be able to answer everything, but we'll answer what we can. I'll go ahead and get us started. I am Kim Baker. I'm with the Gallatin Chamber of Commerce, and we are live with today's C Show. The Chamber exists to support, educate, and engage our member businesses and the Gallatin community, which is why we have been bringing you the C Show for several months now. And so today we are excited to have a special guest with us, Jeffrey Hester with the UT Extension Office here in Gallatin. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
We're glad to have you. We know that the UT Extensions all over the state offer a lot of different services, and I know I probably don't even know everything you'll offer there at our office. So I think it would be awesome to go ahead and just get started with an overview of what is a UT Extension Office and why does it matter?
Well, Kim, that's very ironic because I feel like when I introduce myself a lot, that's the very first question I get. And so just yesterday when I was talking to someone, they're like, well, what do you do for a living? And I said, I work for the University of Tennessee. Well, they said, well, you sure do drive a far way. And so that's what's really cool about the University of Tennessee is we do have an office base in every county within the state. So within Sumner County, we have the Sumner County Extension Office. And within it, there are 14 employees with us, ranging with 3 different program areas. And so our programs are, agricultural and natural resources. And so within that, you have Mr. Bob Avery and myself. He handles a lot of the horticulture side. So a lot of his stuff here recently has been, things that are growing in the garden, pests and pest management that you might be seeing, with our current social environment that we're in, the situation we're in. A lot of people have been home the past couple of months, and a lot of people have started this at-home gardening. And so UT Extension has been there to help. Our phones have been ringing a lot with different gardening questions. I handle a lot more of the livestock and forage-based programs. So I work with our beef producers within Sumner County with educational programs, one-on-one consultations, different things when it comes to farm management, if it's a finance-related thing, if it's a beef nutrition. I also work, I am background within the horse industry. So I work with our horse owners within the county. If it's nutrition quality stuff, I work hand in hand with a lot of their veterinarians, work hand in hand with the Tennessee Department of Agriculture and educating clients around our county. We also have within the Ag and Natural Resources our Master Gardener program, which is probably, I think is probably one of the largest Master Gardener programs in the state. Most of them throughout Tennessee are volunteer managed. And so Mr. Bob kind of helps advise that group, but they do have their own set of volunteers that manage. They meet once a month. You can probably see them throughout the county. They have a lot of different beautification projects going on. I know one that is one of their well-endowed ones would be the one at Volunteer State Community College that they put on. They have some at the Square, I believe. So a lot of awesome things that they do through those programs. And of course, Bob and I both have access to specialists at the university. So when it's a question that we may not be able to answer, we know who to find. We do have our Family Consumer Science Department. We have Agent Kate Tippett, as well as Agent Miguel Mendieta, Program Assistant Jenny Biggs. We also have Program Assistant Risa Santana, and then we also have a secretary in the Family Consumer Science Department, Miss Patricia Crandall, that works with different programs. Again, clientele, same base. Miss Kate does a lot with the Tennessee homebuyer classes. So if you kind of like, looking at purchasing your first home and not really sure all of the ins and outs kind of questions, she's there to help. And I do believe there's kind of some, I don't know if it's financial aid, but there are maybe some lower interest rates when it comes to that kind of classes there. Miguel and Jenny both provide educational programs in nutrition, both in Spanish and in English. I think that is such an awesome to reach a different client base, especially in Sumner County. They'll have an English speaking class, and that same class is done in Spanish. Their classes are free. Jenny did let me know that they have some Facebook programs going on right now. So if you're looking for free nutritional advice or questions that you may have within programs, they would be the ones to reach out to. And then, of course, one of my near and dear programs is our 4-H youth development side of our organization. 4-H is the largest youth organization in the entire world, and Sumner County is just proud to have that one of the clubs inside of our county. Again, every county across the state has their own 4-H club. Typically, all the programs within all three of our branches here, programs across the state are very similar, but I love Extension because they're specific. And so we take these programs that are generally based and we specify them to meet our clients' needs. And so our 4-H youth side, we do have the honor and the privilege, I should say, to partner with the Board of Education and many of our schools across the county. We still meet inside the schools. Of course, we kind of had a crazy spring with schools kind of being out for our situations, but hopefully as fall programming rolls around, we'll still get to be able to work with those and find a way to match. We do take all of our programs that we do within the schools and match them with state standards. And so we work really hard. Everything that we teach is something that teacher can say, hey, this is meeting XYZ standard that they have to see throughout the school year. Our enrollment for last year was a little around 5,000 students that we're seeing in a given month. And so that's with our school systems. Within the school, we also have a homeschool club that meets out at our office. We have after-school projects that relate from all the way from cooking to animals to different types of leadership and citizenship programs. We have judging teams, and of course, a lot of our kids always remember summer camps. And it was one of those things that we got this summer and had to cancel our summer camps, and it's one of those that kind of made tears come to your eyes because that's one of the things that kids really look forward to at the end of the year. But we are going ahead and planning on our camps for 2021. And so we hope to have that back running as soon as our next summer rolls around. And so we do pride ourselves in Sumner County for having the second largest 4-H program in the state. And so with just our plethora of events and programs, we pride ourselves. We do have myself, I work part of the time in the 4-H youth side, Miss Whitney Whitaker, Mr. Clint Parker. We also have 3 wonderful program assistants that if we didn't have our program assistants, there will be no way we would meet the clients that we do, the students that we do, Miss Bridget Garrison, Miss Diane Van, and Miss Carrie Latimer. So we're great to have those on board. But of course, our office is certainly, it takes someone to hold the glue together. And so our administrative assistant, Miss Marcy Rice, she's kind of that face of the front. As well with Miss Patricia, they kind of work together to kind of keep our office held together because our program assistants and our agents are all of the time running in and out. And so, doing programs, so it does take that face for someone to see.
Awesome. That's a lot. You'll do so much.
And then people wonder why when somebody asks, well, what do you do? Well, do you have 30 minutes?
Give me a few minutes. Let's sit down. Let me ask you this because I thought this was interesting. Do all Ag Extension offices offer the same things or do some of them offer different things?
So like I said, referred to previously, the programs without the state are very similar, but they're very specific. And so, you might have an Ag Extension agent in West Tennessee that concentrates on soybean production, or their farmers in their area are more related to the row crops. If you look at Sumner County ag related, we're in the top, I believe, as of the 2017 ag census, we were 11th in the state when it comes to beef and cattle production. So we do still have a lot of farms related to that. But when you look at, and this to me is one of the coolest things about Sumner County, when you look at people that are moving into our county, they're coming from states across our country, coming, to Sumner County because of our, different, again, the things that they can find around our county and around our area. And so we also are seeing an increase of what I would consider like mini farm hobbies. So they're wanting to begin to have backyard poultry, or they're wanting to have that backyard garden, or they're wanting to grow different types of crops within a small acreage or farm. And so while Sumner County may not be like a West Tennessee farm where we have a farm that has hundreds of acres, we have many farms that average in our county somewhere around 15 to 30 acres is the average that we see within Sumner County. And they're still doing what they can to kind of have that hobby farm. You are seeing a lot of people in Sumner County wanting to do that farm to table. They're wanting to grow what they're eating. They're wanting to raise what they're eating. And so it's really cool to see that within specifically our county.
That's awesome. And I feel like you said it earlier, but I think we've seen a lot more of things like that happen this year.
Yes,
people maybe had spare time or been more aware of the need to know where you're getting your food.
Yes, ma'am. And I think it's just, when our current situation started, I know grocery stores, it felt like it was like, Black Friday all over again. But a lot of people had realized like this might be the time for me to educate myself. And I have you may not be able to provide your family, with all of the food that you eat within the contents of your backyard. However, you can do a really good job of supplementing that with a few things here and there in that backyard and growing that, because we still do have a fairly long growing season within our area, within our hardiness zone here. And so it does, it's really good for those that get out and have that opportunity to do so.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about what operations look like right now. I know you mentioned you have all of these classes and all of these programs, but we're also in the middle of all this COVID stuff. So are those still happening? And if they are, how are they happening?
So Kim, like you and I were talking earlier before we kind of went broadcast, we are a person-based business, and in our organization, we thrive off of the interaction between face-to-face people. So currently, our office is. We're not open to the public. We're open by appointment only. So we're trying to, again, keep the social distance, do our part of, mitigating the spread of the virus. And so we are by appointment only. There are 2 people typically each day in the office managing our, any phones that are coming in, mail, the business as usual. But if you're wanting to set up an appointment or have questions regarding a program, our phone number is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. I would, call that number, reach out to whoever's in the office, and that person can get you into contact with the right staff member. A lot of our programs have gone virtual, and I know on the 4-H side, our students in the spring semester, all of their classes went to virtual, all of their summer activities have gone virtual. And so I know virtual has more of a, not really a positive demeanor right now. It's more of that neutral, if you're tech savvy kind of thing. But we are doing our best. UT did open up to where if we can abide by the CDC guidelines, having meetings up to 50 people. And so look for that planning coming up, meetings and programs that are coming up. We are doing our best to maybe find locations outside that we could have such programs face-to-face, but still kind of abide by some guidelines set forth.
Awesome. I think that's great. And you have a few different options. I know it's certainly been a challenge. What about, so we talked a little bit about 4-H, and I know that there's that integration with Sumner County schools, but what if somebody is not a part of the Sumner County school system, and can they be a part of 4-H?
So that's what I love about the 4-H youth organization is you don't have to be a public school student to be part of it. Like I said, we do have our homeschool group that is ran by our program assistant, Diane Van. She has a 4th and 5th grade group that meets in Gallatin. And she also, I believe, has a 6th grade group that meets in the Portland area. But the cool thing is, that's kind of to get the typical. I know if several of our viewers probably remember the public speaking, the bread baking, and the 4-H things, but 4-H is so much more than just those small not to set aside the importance of those programs and contests, but 4-H has so much more to offer. And so that's when I would advise students to find a project group and be involved with. One of the things that I personally am responsible over is our youth horse programs. And so we have currently around 63 or 4 members that are enrolled in our horse program. And the cool thing is only 17 or 18 of them own horses. The rest of them are suburban kids that have an interest. Maybe they wanted a pony for Christmas, and their mom says, "Hey, we're going to learn something about it before we proceed." And so just within that project group, they meet a couple of times starting in the fall, a couple of times a week. They learn all about, both, the ins and outs of horses, the nutrition, health factors, different breeds. And so it's an educational source for them. But then they also have contests that they can go compete on the regional, state, and even high schoolers on the national level. And so, I would advise anyone that may not be in a school, and although our 4-H program is meeting in almost every elementary school, there are still a couple elementary schools, and of course, our program that we do in schools is 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, just because, like I mentioned, when you have 5,000 students that you're meeting a month, it's hard with our manpower. It's really hard to increase that number, especially with time management and classroom schedules and different things. And so those students, find a project group that's meeting after school, that might be meeting in your area, and be part of that and get involved that way.
Awesome. Hey, I'll also add, if anybody that's watching ever gets invited to attend one of these competitions or even judge one, do it, because I've judged a couple and I've blown away. I almost kind of felt like I almost left kind of feeling bad about myself, thinking like, man, like these kids are way ahead of me.
Well, we do love our volunteers, and Ms. Kim, we would not be able to do our programs if it wasn't for our volunteers. Whether it's going to camp as a volunteer, whether it's helping run one of our project groups or help coach one of our judging teams, or even when you talk about, the thing that we really love, and it's, because Sumner County has such a diverse population, we're able to have different programs that maybe other counties don't. But it's really awesome when these kids, come to our public speaking event. We need those judges. Our county contest is larger than the regional contest. And it's so cool that kid to, overcome their county contest, and they're like, man, I got the next level. But when they get to the next level for them, it's such a breeze, because they've had such a strong competition on the county level. So yes, we would welcome any judges. We will be reaching out. I think our next contest will be upcoming this winter, typically November, December area, for our public speaking. So, if you don't have to have a degree in communications to judge, if you're willing to listen and give critique back to these students, we would welcome your advice.
Awesome. Yeah, volunteer. Let's talk a little bit about, let's dig a little deeper, dig into the Master Gardener program, because I think we get a lot of questions about that here. And I think really they are some of the unsung heroes in our community, keeping a lot of our historic sites and a lot of our just public byways really beautiful. And let's talk a little bit about that and maybe how people can get involved in that too.
So like I mentioned earlier, our Master Gardener program is volunteer ran and managed. They elect a new kind of board every year with the, different position responsibilities. And that board is assigned to plan out the year. And so they have different fundraisers, different events. They plan out each month. They have to plan different speakers to come in and present to their Master Gardener group. And Mr. Bob Avery, of course, our horticulture agent, is certainly better capable of answering questions regarding the Master Gardener program. But he kind of runs it as there's you want to become a Master Gardener, they have the Master Gardener program, but they also have, if you want to become a volunteer or one of their train, I think they call them the volunteer their class. They have like a training to become one of them. And so they have it's a set program series. They meet sometimes in Gallatin at our office. Sometimes they meet at Vol State Community College. This spring, because they were wrapping up about the time we were having to exit the office and the volunteer state was closing the campus down, they were meeting virtually for a couple of the trainings. And that helps to continue to grow their population to be able to control some of these projects that they have. And like you said, they do an amazing job with some of their community service projects that they do, whether it's, different historical areas or even within our residential areas and down to just our towns and proprietorships there. So it's really awesome that what they do. If you're interested in becoming a master gardener, it's one of those that I love to just every now and then just to pop in a meeting. I can kind of look at the topics and see what they're going to be talking throughout the year and pop in and see what's going on. And I heard that they eat pretty good every one of their meetings. So if you're wanting to join that, I would highly encourage that as well.
I haven't been to a master gardener meeting, but I've been to maybe it was at a book club. Maybe
okay.
I think I've spoke to the book club, and they ate pretty well too. So that is a perk. If getting you there for the information isn't enough, there's usually food. So
and I think that's another program that's very specific to our county. Not many extension programs have a book club that meets, and so Miss Kate does a great job at organizing. They kind of set the books for the year, so you kind of have that. I've got that time to get the book read and then meet together. Sometimes this past year, one of the cool things I thought, they were able to grab one of the authors to be in the discussion as well. That was a really cool thing. And they also, you talk about food, they have family consumer education clubs. And these are different areas, different community types of people that meet together, and they also have food, and they get together and do different projects. To me, it's one of those that I'm going to look forward to the time when I get to retire, because I want to join an FCE club and still get to do some of the projects and the different contests that they get to do as well.
Yes, a lot of these programs are they make I guess retirement look very fun. Like, so fun. I'm ready.
That's right.
But they're not all for retirement.
No, man. Some of our clubs, they meet at times in which, even, someone in the working class, someone that's working an 8-to-5 job when they can get off, or they might even meet on a Saturday. There's different events set up to where you can be part of that as well.
Awesome. Well, you have shared a lot of information about what your office does and all the services you offer. I'm going to share a funny story. The reason I asked earlier about different ag extensions doing different things is several years ago, I was a nanny, and one of the families I nannied for had a koi pond, and the koi pond had changed colors. And the mom was going out of town for like the weekend, and she said, I need you to go out there and get a sample of the water, and I need you to drive it to the ag extension office. And I said, oh, the one, by the hospital. And she said, no, not that one. And I don't know, I can't remember where it was. Maybe you can tell me, but it was about 2 hours away, and they specifically tested water. And so I thought that was just the craziest thing so I loaded up the kids, and we took a little road trip for the day and dropped off this water to get sampled. And I think I had to go back and get it later. But anyway, I thought that was really interesting. And so that's why I asked that question, because it is interesting to know that they all do different things. And then there's one in West Tennessee that has a museum with it, correct?
So right? There are in West each region. So our state, of course, we have our state office in Knoxville, and then our state is actually divided into 3 regions. And so each region has a regional office, and the West Tennessee office that's in Jackson does have, of course, because West Tennessee is predominantly, a lot of row crops, they have a research center there, as well as, we have research centers all across the state. But in the West Tennessee office, they do have a museum that's kind of dedicated to extension. And for those that may not want to drive all the way to Jackson, so the Tennessee Museum that's in Nashville at the Ellington Ag Center, Extension does a lot of help with that as well. And so I think, I forgot what month it is, but sometimes 4-H will do, it's all about 4-H. And so they kind of set it up for that nature as well in Nashville.
Neat, super neat. Well, I so appreciate you joining us today, and I think everyone who watched, I certainly hope they learned something as well. Before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to share? Anything else you'd like to add?
So the one of my notes that I had here before we left is, I feel like sometimes when I meet people, I've heard countless times, well, UT Extension is the biggest kept secret, and so it's one of those that we do our best to market. Because when people think of UT Extension, they think of agriculture extension, and that's what's so cool about our extension organization is we're so much more than just an ag based. And so when our new president of the university, President Boyd, came on, his new marketing thing, or his new motto for himself and for our organization is everywhere you look, UT. And so, you might see throughout the East Tennessee area, there's different buildings in West Tennessee. I think there's one in South Middle Tennessee that, has that logo on there. But share with your friends, that we're not the biggest kept secret. We're here for you. We're also here for your neighbor. And so just help us get that word out. And for whatever we can do, that's what we're here for. So, we are definitely UT Extension, bringing you real life solutions.
Awesome. And we're so thankful for that. And what a benefit it is to have one right here in Gallatin, Tennessee. So awesome. Jeffrey, thank you for joining us today. And everybody who watched along with us, thank you for watching. We will be back again next week on Tuesday and Thursday live on the Chamber's Facebook page at 10 a.m. with another episode of The C Show. So have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.